Hello, everyone. On the heels of our live show with Dr. Robert Sanchez, talking to you about marijuana, my objections to marijuana, psychosis, and things of that nature, here's an article: Potent Pot Fuels Psychotic Episodes. ER visits. America has a marijuana problem. And I'm going to put a link to this article in the description to the video. As more states legalize marijuana, new research shows that a greater number of users are struggling with serious health consequences. Approximately 27% of adults in the US and Canada report having ever used cannabis for medical purposes. However, it states evidence from randomized clinical trials does not support the use of cannabis or cannabinoids for most conditions for which it is promoted, such as acute pain and insomnia. And so one of the things they talked to Dr. Sanchez about was the whole idea of whether or not marijuana really has, any credibility when it comes to the treatment of medical conditions. Now, I know that there is some evidence that it can help cancer patients, particularly ones that are terminally ill, and it has some benefit in terms of pain relief. So I'm all for that. But I would urge you to go and take a look at that live show that we did. It's about 30 minutes long. The higher the dose of THC, the higher the likelihood that you will end up with a psychotic episode, and that will lead you to end up in the emergency room department. And not only that, definitely in Florida, there's a very good chance that you'll end up in a Baker Act facility. And I'm not saying that you should. I've been pretty adamant that the Baker Act should not be used for substance use issues, but it does happen pretty regularly. Former marijuana addict Zach Plant told CBN, Christian Broadcasting Network, and I'm not promoting anybody's network, just this is the source, states that this is exactly what happened to him. I had thoughts of other people wanting to hurt me, he said. Thoughts of the only way of being safe was to end my own life. Now, while the Baker Act is not for substance use, if you go to end up in a hospital and you say I'm suicidal, you're probably going to get Baker Acted. So that's how you can get Baker Acted when there's a substance use issue at hand. Anyway, I will let you read this for yourself. I think you get the gist of where I'm going with this. I've talked ad nauseum about my objection to marijuana, and I'm going to continue to object to it because every year we speak to a couple of thousand families from all over the country, and they have loved ones who are suffering from marijuana-induced psychosis. And one of the things I learned from Dr. Sanchez this morning is that the psychosis is a bit like a concussion, right? When you first experience psychosis, once you're out of psychosis, it's significantly easier to experience psychosis again. So if you are in recovery, right, you're out of psychosis and you use again, it's much more likely that you're going to experience psychosis again, like a concussion, right? If you've ever been concussed, and having spent 20 plus years, training in the martial arts, I've had my bell rung more than once or twice. And I think the evidence supports the fact that once you get concussed once, it's much easier to get concussed a second or third time. So I sort of use that analogy. And so if you're a family out there and you've got a loved one who's using marijuana and you're seeing all kinds of crazy behavior and you want to have a conversation with us about what options may or may not be available, both legal and non-legal, please reach out to us. If there's an issue going on in your family that I haven't made a video about, let me know. I'll make you a video, because if it's affecting your family, good chance it's affecting somebody else's. And these videos are about getting you the information that I think that you really need to have before you decide if you're going to call me or any other lawyer. If you like this content, please give me a thumbs up. They tell me it helps. And if you like this content that I make for you every day, even while I'm on vacation, please subscribe to the channel. And with that said, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.